Right now is a big day in Newport News. Steve Drew is ready to officially get started as the new police chief.
He was sworn in this morning, in front of city leaders and the community. Steve Drew tells 13 News Now reporter Nico Clemens his plans moving forward.
I cannot wait to get started.
There's a new leader at Newport News Police Headquarters. And tonight, Chief Drew vowing to reduce crime in the city.
I want the citizens to take ownership of their neighborhoods, to take pride in where they live, and to share that information with us.
There have been 13 homicides in Newport News so far this year, most recently Tuesday on Matoka Drive. This time last year, there were 10. Chief Drew also promises to focus on the community and youth interaction.
It has to be actions, not just words from a podium.
During his swearing in at the Downing Gross Cultural Arts Center in Southeast Newport News, the new chief says he's going to be fair and transparent, but also asking the community, what are they going to do to help?
It has to be a partnership.
The chief hit on several different topics. One main one, strengthening relationships between police and people living in the city.
I'm really hopeful and optimistic.
Recently, Chief Drew took the time to meet with a woman in her neighborhood, downtown. That woman is Uganda Sample Jones.
Because I wanted to know what was his plan and his vision for our community, especially with our youth.
Chief Drew and Sample Jones finished that walk with a handshake, a hug, and a commitment they would work together.
We walked that neighborhood together. For the first half of the walk, we talked about her issues, her concerns, about youth, about crime, violence, gunshots in her neighborhood. For the second half of that walk, we talked about what I need from the community.
While he's been in the city for a few weeks and met with many people in the community, the new chief says he's now ready to officially hit the ground running. In Newport News, Nico Clemens, 13 News Now.